All right, welcome back everybody. My name is Dustin. In the last video, we actually were creating the state stack. However, in this video, we're going to go over some of the changes to the engine. So if you've been following the GitHub repo recently, you can see that we now have CMake support and we are actually cross-platform now. So this can actually build on Linux. I'm not sure about Mac, but I know for sure it can build on Linux. Okay. The CMake support was added by David or Starge 1989. I spoke about David before and his ENTT meet Sol 2 right here. This was the inspiration that we used for the meta utilities and binding our ENTT stuff to Lua and Sol 2. We actually have used this meta utilities with our Box2D bindings as well and in some other places. David is also working on his own game engine called the Supernova engine. The engine is a 3D engine. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, make sure you guys check out this engine if you want to do some more 3D stuff or start getting into this. Eventually we'll get into 3D, but we got so much work to do with 2D that we're still pretty far away from getting into 3D. But check out the Supernova engine, give it a star, and give David a follow. If you haven't given the ENTT meets Sol 2 a star, make sure you do that as well. Extremely helpful in helping us bind our ENTT and other bindings to Lua. All right, so for this video, we're actually going to build from CMake. We're going to go through the whole process and using Vcpkg. So if we go down here, right now we require CMake 3.26 and Vcpkg. So if we come up here and we check out the CMake list, this is requiring a minimum of 3.26 for the CMake, and we come back. So let's go through this whole build process right now. And we're going to do Windows and then we're going to do Linux. Now, I'm not a native Linux user, so we're going to actually go through the whole process. I've been dabbling with it, trying to get it to work. I'm using Ubuntu. I don't know how to say the name right, but number 24. So we'll go through that when we get there. But let's do the Windows one first because I'm more familiar with that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is to get Vcpkg. So let's just open up a command prompt here. We're just going to go to, okay. And you're going to want to get Vcpkg, but I already have Vcpkg. And once you get Vcpkg, you're going to want to run this batch command. So if I go to cd Vcpkg, I already have it installed. And then here, you're going to want to make sure that you have your environment variables set up. So your Vcpkg root path to Vcpkg and your Vcpkg default triplet is equal to x64 Windows. This is for Windows, okay? And you do that in your environment variables. So you just open up your environment variables. And right here. So if you come down here, we have our Vcpkg default triplet and your Vcpkg root. So make sure you have those set, okay? So I have those set, and then you're just gonna wanna take this command and install everything here. So we just copy this, go back here, paste it in. Doesn't like that. Get rid of this. So everything's already installed for me. If you see here, we already have Box2D, ENTT, GLM, Lua, but it'll go through and do it for you. Now in Windows, this is a much easier task. We'll go over how I had to figure it out in Linux later on in the video, okay? So now that we have that, let's go cd, and let's create a new dir. So make dir, and we'll go test dev, and then let's go into that, test dev. And then we're going to want to clone the repo. So let's get this. Copy that. Go back in. So we're cloning the repo. Cool. Let's go into it. So cd Scion2D. So now we're in it. We want to go cmake.s.b build. So this is saying where you want it to be. So now we can actually just go cd build. So we're going to the build, and we can either build from the command line using CMake, or we can open up a Visual Studio solution would have been created. So let's open that up. So right here, if we go to test dev, Scion2D, and then we go to the build, we have our solution that was created, okay? We can open this. All right, so project been loaded, it's ready to use. So the first thing I want to do here is actually set Scion editor to the startup project and then just run it. So we have a debug build and we can just run it here. All right, so it built and it ran. I expected this to happen because it's missing certain textures and certain assets, and I knew that was going to happen, okay? So right here, if we just open up our, so right here in our engine, we go to the application. So right now I'm loading certain fonts right here. So if we go down here, load main script, Pixel. So you got to make sure you have fonts in the asset folder and fonts, blah, blah, blah. So it's looking for these fonts, okay? Now, if you don't have fonts right now, you can just comment these out. Also, there's another problem. So if we open up the folder here in our bin, what MSVC does, it creates the debug folder. So it's expecting the assets to be in this folder. So we can just copy these, put them in here. And if we run it again, we won't have the font issue, but we'll have another issue where we're not loading the assets. So we have right here, if we go into our scripts and we go to main.lua and we just open this up, I'm just going to use Notepad++. So we open this up here. So we're trying to load these assets from the asset defs in this here in the test project asset defs.lua. But if you don't have these assets, it's not going to know what to load. So what I recommend doing for now, until you have proper assets in, is just do a block comment all this stuff out, as we don't need to run any of it. Comment all this out. Comment stack. Comment that. Cool. So now we have no fonts or anything, but we're just getting the engine running just to show you that it runs. So go back into Visual Studio and run again. It should build, it should run. Cool. So a built-in run, and you see that it's set up a certain way now. This was actually another thing that David added as well. And we were just using the default. So right down here, previously we were just using the dock space over viewport, but this was added as well, where it's a dock builder, and it sets up the dock windows for us. So it's splitting everything and doing everything for us. And I'm going to have to go over this myself and get better at using this, because this is the way we're going to be doing it from now on. And I have another application that I want to use as well. So that run for us. Now I already have the asset files. If you've been following along, you probably already have your own assets for your own game that you've been following along with us. So I'm going to copy the asset files in. I have those on my desktop. I'm just going to copy these in, and it's just fonts, sounds, textures. Copy this, go back to my assets, paste this in. Then if I open up the Lua again, right here, we can just uncomment everything. It should work. And I actually want to get that font back here. So everything here should work, as long as you have the assets, that is. Uncomment. Cool. So everything's back to the way it was when you first downloaded it. I just put the assets in. So make sure you have your assets set up correctly. And she failed. Of course. Why would it fail? Take a look. So it's saying it doesn't have the assets. Where's that error? Let's run this again. Cool. So it's saying we don't have the assets. Debug. Assets. Textures. They should all be there. Let's add them to here as well. Oh, okay, so maybe they don't have to be copied over. Okay, cool. So that's it. So debug's really slow because it's this rain. The way that I'm updating the rain or drawing the rain is actually quite bad. So we're gonna go over that in another video. But if we change this and run it in release, it should run fine. Change this to release and build. It'll take a minute. All right, and that's the release. Run it, and it runs flawlessly in release. So there's some stuff that I'm doing, some updating for the rain that we should actually fix. But that's done in the Lua script, so anybody can fix it. If you guys find a solution, yeah, post it in or put it in the comments and we'll get to it. All right, so that's the Windows build. Real easy, real simple. Now it's time to move over to the Linux build. We'll just stop this. And the Linux build is going to be done from scratch. All right, now for the Linux. So I'm just running a Oracle VirtualBox, running the Ubuntu 24. Okay, and this is a new install. And the only thing I have is Visual Studio Code installed. All right, so let's just open up the GitHub here. Everything's new. We're just gonna go right to GitHub. So github.com. I'm not going to worry about signing in. Let's just find Scion2D. right here. Okay, so we're going to need all these things and we're going to do it all from scratch. So what I found here actually, before we install the VC package, like before we do the GLM SDL2, there's other things we have to install before we build SDL2. I found this out for some reason after I built everything, the window never actually built, or it never would show the window. It would just crash the window and give me some funny errors. So like it wouldn't even show, not even crash. It wouldn't even appear at all. Let's actually open up a terminal. And we'll go step by step here. We need to clone Vcpkg. So we can just copy this, insert. Cool. So it doesn't have git. So let's sudo apt install git, sudo apt install git. Okay, now that we have git, we can do our clones. Let's find our command and clone it in. It's going to clone into Vcpkg. All right, so then we can copy this and insert it. But we can't use the batch file. We need to use the shell for Linux. And I'll change that actually in the build instructions as well. Run it. Cool. So we don't have Perl, so we need to install that. So sudo apt get install Perl zip unzip r. Cool. Let's run that again. All right, and now we want to set our Vcpkg root. Now there's a couple ways to do it. It's different in Linux, but this is the way that I found was better for me. So I just go nano, and then I want to look in the profile. So then I want to go dot profile. And then we have this here, and down here at the bottom, I want to say export, not export. Then it's Vcpkg root equals, for me, it's home Dustin Vcpkg. For you, it may be something else. And then for the default triplet, I don't know if we have to set it for Linux. I'm going to do it anyway. If we have to take it out, we'll take it out. So let's go export and Vcpkg default triplet equals, now I don't know if you have to do this either, but I'm going to put it anyway, x64-linux. And then we want to save it and then just get out of there. Cool. So if we go into our environment variables up here, we should have, so it's not seeing it. All right, sorry about that. Or for that to work, I actually had to reboot the system here. It's actually in there now. So we have our Vcpkg root set up. Cool. That's what we want. So now, right here, it says to install this, but we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem with ELSA as well. And we're also going to have a problem with SDL2. It won't say you have a problem, but when you go to actually run the program later, the window won't open. Why? Because we're missing a few things here. At least I was. Your system might not be, but I was missing some of the Mesa dev stuff. So we're going to have to add that in. So we got to go sudo apt get install lib Zinerama deb lib xcursor dev zord dev and lib glu1 dash mesa dash dev. Now, if you're already a native Linux user, you probably already have all these libs that I didn't have. I had to learn the hard way on what I needed in order to get it to work correctly for me. Like I look at Linux more like a manual car. If you start when you learn, if you're learning a manual car, you learn more how to drive better. But if you start with a automatic, then it's a hard time to switch over to the manual car like Linux. So I started with Windows, and you're kind of like taken care of a little bit. The OS and everything does a lot for you. Everything is automatic. Like when your Visual Studio automatically has all your OpenGL stuff that you need. I don't have to add any of that stuff in. Getting used to Linux was a little bit, but I'm starting to enjoy it. I may even switch over. Who knows? Okay. So then I also want to get the sudo apt-get install Python 3, Jinja 2. So it was already installed. That's exactly what I want. So now we can actually copy this and install our VC package stuff. So let's get into our VC package. So cd VC package. And let's grab all this. Copy this. Insert. We're definitely going to have some issues with ALSA. And we'll go over it when we get to it. So right now it's starting to get ready for us. This might take a minute. So it looks like we're missing. So let's go sudo apt update. Let's just upgrade everything. Sudo apt upgrade. Okay, so now we want to go sudo apt to apt-get. What's the difference between apt and apt-get? I'm going to look that up later. Install build essential and GDB. Cool. Now let's run our VC package install. All right. Yeah, see right here, we're trying to build ELSA, but it's looking for certain things that it's missing. So it's missing autocomp, and it's also missing libtools or libtool. So we're going to need both of those. So we need to go sudo apt-get install, and we need autoconf. We're also going to need libtool. And we're also going to need package config. Cool. And let's run our install again, our VC package install. And now it should hopefully do everything for us. All right, so that took a long time, but we got it all. It should work from here. Okay, so let's actually go back. So now we have all of our packages installed. So that's what now we can go back, DD, and we can clone the repo. So let's copy this, copy, insert it. Cool, let's go into it and run our CMake -s -b build. Okay, so it's missing that. So let's get our CMake sudo apt install CMake. Now that we have that, let's do our CMake. All right, so it says build files, everything built nicely for us. So let's go into Visual Studio Code. So right from here, we can just go code. Yes, I trust. Open this. All right. So it doesn't look like I have any of the extensions that I need. So let's add our extensions in. Let's go here and we'll say CMake. Not CMake, CMake. This up a bit. Let's install this. Let's install this. Let's add some C++. install this. Let's install the extension pack. Yes. And we want to configure, always do this, yes. And configure our CMake options visibility. Once this opens up, I don't want it hidden, I just want it visible. That'll open this up down here for us. Cool. We can just close that, close this. Now we have our CMake here. And select kit. We're going to use GCC 13. And we're actually just going to build it in release. Cool. So we have our build. All right, aside from a few warnings, we build successfully. So let's actually debug. So this is already built. So what we're going to do, I don't use Visual Studio Code too often. That's the problem. So I need to go into here, Scion2D, build, binary, and we'll just run it from here. And it should just crash down because we don't have the correct files. And we expected that. So what I need to do now, I don't know, it was letting me change this before when I was trying it. I must be missing something. If you guys know, let me know. Yeah, the editor. But anyway, so here, and we need our assets. So we don't have this set up, so we need to set this up. So we'll go off of this for a minute. Go into our VBox, and we have our shared folders. And what we'll do is we'll get rid of that. For some reason, it's not seeing it. And we'll add it again. Other, that's just on my desktop, my assets. Auto mount. Okay, cool. And let's go back into our VM here and see other locations. Go to the assets. Copy these, put them into our asset folder, and we should be able to run it. Yay! Look at that. Now it is going pretty slow here, but that's all right. So that's it, running in Linux. There we go. That probably did a debug build for some reason. All right, so that's it. So that shows that our project is able to run in Linux. We're able to build it. There's a few more steps that I had to take because I'm not a native Linux user. If you're a native Linux user, you probably know way better ways to do it than me. If you do, post it in the comments below and I'll try to get better at using it myself. Same with Visual Studio Code. I did have this set up before where I could launch it and do everything from the debugger. I can't seem to figure it out at the moment. So that's fine. I'm so used to Visual Studio. Again, I'm coming from Windows and I feel kind of like they make things a lot easier for you to use on Windows. I'm going to have to start digging more into Visual Studio Code and getting better at that. All right. And make sure you guys check out the David and Scourge 1989. Make sure you check him out and take a look at his repos. Give him a star. Big thanks to David for setting up the CMake for us. And that's what we're going to be using from now on. So from now on, we're always going to be using the CMake and we're going to work from that. All right, and in the next video, we're actually going to start the state machines. So it's a continuation from the state stack from before, but now we're going to be using the state machine, and that's going to be for our players and NPCs and enemies, okay? All right, that's it for this one. If there's any questions, please leave a comment below. Also, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. All right, take it easy.